So I get asked all the time, what do I forecast for what's going to happen with the real estate market and the economy in 2021? And that's what we're talking about starting right now. So welcome back, y'all. I'm Debbie Dobbins, real estate entrepreneur here in Wichita Falls, Texas. And on this channel, we talk about all things Wichita Falls lifestyle, real estate, and everything in between. And if you'd like to keep up to the minute on all things Wichita Falls, please subscribe to the button below. And don't forget to ring that bell because you'll be notified each and every Monday when we upload a new video. And oh my gosh, we probably do that in between the week of Monday to Monday as well. So we're getting started, and what I wanted to share is the answer to the question that I get all the time these days is, what do I predict for the economy? Well, of course, I don't have a crystal ball, but I've actually been predicting the economy for decades. I predicted refinance markets. I predicted what happened with the crash of 2008. And it's not because I'm smart. It's just because I pay attention to what's happening with the economy. And there's always some information that the economy can tell us. There are experts out there that share information. And so I'm going to pass along a couple of key components that you need to know about what's about to happen in 2021. No matter what happens with the government, because frankly, our markets are driven by the stock market, by the bond market, by the market, which is people buying and selling goods. And yes, the Federal Reserve has a little input here and there, and the government policies have a little input here and there, but they cannot change this machine, which we call the economy, that's going forward. So we felt some absolute blips on the radar because of 2020. But what happened was interesting. While there were plenty of people out of jobs, there certainly was a real estate boom. So what do you make of that? People ask me, well, what's going on? Well, the reason that the real estate business is going crazy is because there's a lack of inventory. So if you haven't understood that up until this point, let me explain that to you a little bit. Starting back in 2008, when we had our big meltdown, one of the problems that created that problem was there was an overabundance of building. There was new homes being built like crazy. So everything in economics is supply and demand. So if you have an undersupply and an overdemand, then the prices go up. If you have an oversupply and an underdemand, then prices go down. Well, in 2008 and the build up to it, there was a huge amount of inventory. There was an oversupply, and then things were getting overheated, and then they couldn't get rid of it. So people started to have foreclosures. What happened back in 2008, and I watched it and I thought, that's very interesting because this is going to catch up to us in a little while because it doesn't happen overnight. In 2008, new home building shut down. Bye-bye, it's over. And as it shut down, that began to contract what was happening for housing. So because there was no new housing and people were coming to the United States, believe it or not, the population continued to grow, people are born, people move out of their houses, and we need housing. So over the past decade or so, inventory has begun to shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink. And we finally reached this apex in really the last almost 2 years, 18 months, and then really a lot in 2020. The shrinking of inventory. So there's no inventory. In other words, the supply went down, so the demand went up, and then the cost, well, it's a seller's market. So with that being said, the inventory has gone down, but also in conjunction with all of that happening, the interest rates were already at a very low, very all-time low. And with the market taking a dive that it did, the Fed had actually started raising interest rates before COVID, when the economy started to heat up a little bit. But what happened was with COVID, they can't do that. They can't put insult on injury. So the Fed is not going to be moving interest rates any day soon, or let alone in the next year. So those historically low interest rates are going to continue to remain low. So when you have this frenzy for real estate and you have this economy that is a little depressed, but it's coming back gangbusters, I assure you. People can afford to buy more and better houses. People are moving and they're getting to bigger houses and they're learning that they can live remotely. So the real estate market is taking off. Now, what happens in conjunction with that, because we have a low inventory, the builders are beginning to build. The new builds, the numbers are off the chart because the builders can't build fast enough. They cannot build fast enough. Now, they cannot build fast enough to give us enough inventory in a short amount of time. So we are still looking at the year of 2021 being a tight inventory for real estate. But while this building is going on, just like in 2008 and the precursor to it, all of those jobs that are related to building homes. So you have the builders, you have the people that supply the materials, you have the wood that's supplied, you have the nails that are supplied, you have the employees of the builders who are eating at the McDonald's because now they all have jobs. And you know, I know that it's simplified, but the layering in 2008 it contracted because there was all these people with the housing industry that were expanding, and they influence every single industry that is related to them. And then outside of that, they all shop at the Walmart and they all go to the Denny's and they all buy cars. So what happened was it contracted, and now it's beginning to expand again. So the economy is recovering just by virtue of the fact that the supply and the demand are getting to be equal again. So what that says is that more people, unemployment is getting better. People are spending money again. And I'm going to give you a chart, if you want to look at that just in a second, about where the statistics are and how the economy is actually roaring back. I know you might not feel it for some of you, but there are so many people that are finding ways to make different income, to have different kinds of jobs, to work remotely, to be happier. So at the end of the day, 2021 is set up and primed to be one of the most prosperous years that we've had in a very long time. So my prediction is buy real estate, enjoy your life, look for prosperity and abundance everywhere. And that concludes another episode of Your Wichita Falls. Y'all come back now.